Alright, what is going on? Blaze made it just in time. Got most of the crew here. Let's see if the camera's working. I need to buy a, we might be getting some glitches on the video. I need to get a video, what you call it, a video adapter for streaming, because right now I'm using software for it, but I think I'll get better results with hardware, but that's obviously a piece of budget. So I did tweak some dials though. I haven't had as much glitching lately, not that I've streamed lately. Travis, how you been, man? Hopefully all the busy chaos stuff that's been occupying has resolved a little bit. And yeah, Code, I am now glitch. So I bought stuff. So I bought a whole new setup for using a better camera. So I took efforts to remove the glitch. I made a good faith effort. I'm down to just needing one piece of hardware and then it's gone, hopefully for good. You said it's resolved a little. That's good at least. Hope you're not worried about the game jam thing. I think we all had a good experience and we're going to have to do definitely more. I think we should do some projects even if they're not for a public jam. Because, you know, then we don't have to like lose sleep over it. No, 2 weeks was up quite a while ago. And last time I streamed, I thought I had fixed it. So I'm not sure how bad it's going to be tonight. And you're not going to believe this, but I'm doing a remaster. I'm refactoring the code for my tower defense. And I don't think it's going to be too bad. I think it'll be just fine. Yeah, would be happy to have you contribute. Mini Jam 186. Is that Mini Jam? Let me look at that one. I took part in some of those. Evolution. Yeah, these are the ones I used to do, the mini jams. Yeah, it's only 3 days. Oh, yeah, my video is glitching for sure. I mean, if any of y'all want to do this like solo or whatever, or with each other, go for it. You've got 1 hour, 1.5 hours to join, but it's only 3 days. It's basically a weekend jam. I'm not I'm not gonna be able to do this one. I'm traveling actually, but y'all are welcome to. Evolution is your theme. And this one is not limited to GDevelop. Any engine. It's a prizeless jam, but obviously you do jams for the fun of it. Well, that's good. Glad you made some progress on your game. How's it going lately? Yeah, Blaze, I was trying to see actually how many people. And I used to have this on Discord, but I'm not sure if I do now. Let me see here. I mean, their Discord has like a find a team page. You can. I'm confident you can have 2 people. Creating a planet from scratch. Creating a planet from scratch. So does that, like, where are you even starting on something like that? I made a planet from scratch in Blender. Check out my planet. It's in... Actually, that one is 1080. I made one in 5K. You can zoom in pretty far. I just did this the other night. Just having some fun. I didn't use an add-on. I was, I mean, I followed a tutorial for it, but it was just it's basically 3 spheres, one for the planet, one for the clouds, and one for the atmosphere. And then just various noise shaders on each of those. Yours has tiles that update the ground based on soil nutrients. Okay. That sounds dope, man. I want all the success for your game endeavor. And hopefully to play it someday. As far as my tower defense, I am rebuilding the game files and everything. It was just too messy. So let's see, I started some external events. We've got enemy movement, the towers. Yeah, Beatbox Kid video is in my editor right now. Stay tuned for that. Tomorrow afternoon. Maybe tomorrow evening. He needs to get back so he can help me with the thumbnail. And then, yeah, he has a call out for you in that one, Code. He did make a video. It's just been sitting in my editor. It became a tower of duct tape and glue. Basically, yeah, it's like just too much spaghetti with duct tape and glue holding it together, which is not uncommon for a game that starts its bones in a game jam, which it did. But also, honestly, the past year, the past 12, 14 months has been the majority. I think I've been using GDevelop for, what year is this? I think I started in the fall of like 23. So the vast majority of my knowledge has been built up beyond when I started that game. So optimization, all that kind of stuff. And I've also rethought a lot of the critical elements in the game. And even this last game jam that we did gave me some ideas. I think I no longer want a boring upgrade system. You know, because I had those books that you all helped me on with various pieces of. So if I close this, go back to the old game. I don't want regular stat upgrades anymore, which was kind of something I thought I would do. Here. I'm keeping the look. I'm not going to lose all this, but in terms of the way it'll work. Because I was thinking you go in here and you'll have various upgrades and you can, you know, add, I don't know, just numerical upgrades to whatever tower it is, whether it's freezing time lasts 1% longer, attack speed +2. To me, that might not be the direction I want to go. I think I want to go with more impactful world-changing, or at least tower-changing upgrades. Maybe more things that might even have drawbacks. So that's one of the design pivots I'm making. Yeah, I'm restarting the game code, but I'm obviously referencing any of the complex events that we worked on. Any of the complex events that we worked on, I obviously am going to reuse what I need to reuse. But, you know, all the basic stuff like, you know, bullets colliding with enemies and enemy movement, that's all in my head now. So, you know, beyond bugs, that should be a no-brainer. Yeah, but I have too much stuff. It's just too... There are too many, like, old asset files deep in the folders, and... At this point, I've got things in there that I'm not sure if I'm using or if I'm not using. Variables that I might have declared but not implemented. So, yeah, I'm starting from scratch. And I think it's going to be a... In terms of actual hours, I think it's going to be maybe just a week of actual work. But I think it's going to get me from here to Steam a lot faster. Tower evolution, at least in terms of abilities, yeah. Yeah, spaghetti code. Caca code. That's exactly what it means. So a spaghetti code, it comes down to, I think it's a more old school term. Let me see if I can find it. But traditional code that would use pointers. So like code pointers, especially in old school, like I think like C and assembly languages, you would basically say like go to a section. I'm trying to find a visual here. But basically you go to a section of code and it says points or redirects to a different area of code. And you get too many redirects and it's like all crossing each other, and So visually it would look like spaghetti if you made a logical map of it all. But let me see if I can find... I'm sure you know this. Now I'm curious about it. Yeah, here we go. There's a visual. But these would be points in memory. So it's saying go to this point in memory. Now go to this point in memory. Too much of that together can get really messy really fast. Blaze says the guy that made the Blender Donut tutorial made a video on how to render in cycles. Render engine way faster. I might need to watch that one. I've seen a lot of his stuff. I started with his tutorials, and I think I did that render in cycles, but it took a while. Yeah, GoTo might be basic. Yeah, Fortran and some low-level languages. But it, like the GoTo statement was considered harmful, especially if unrestrained. So, these days we don't necessarily, especially in things like GDevelop or a lot of higher level languages, we're not like messing with the hardware. So it's not as harmful, but it can still mess up your application. Yeah, Blaze, I think you're right about that. My planet turned out all right, but it took quite a while, especially the 5K one. But I think it's going to look pretty cool. I'm animating the planet. And I think I'm going to put out some planet asset packs on itch. Text. All right. Hold on a second, y'all. There is a fly in here. Let me see if I can get it. Bust out my lightsaber skills. It ran away. Got it. Rare footage. Do I need any help? All the help I can get. I've just barely started to remake it. I spent a lot more time thinking about remaking it. I need to decide where exactly I want to start. But let me see here. You've created a new type of ground block. Don't know if any game has this. It's a virtual 3D block in a 2D space. It updates each pixel based on environmental information periodically. 45 points for the fly. I only missed it twice, but I did hit the dresser once, so I don't know if that's like a 10-point reduction. Yeah, 3D block in a 2D space, updates each pixel. It updates each pixel. So what kind of, that sounds like a lot of updates. What dimension is the block? Like how many pixels? Man, the glitch is getting worse. All right, so far, level events. So code, getting back to what you're asking. Right now, all it is nothing except some enemy movement and some towers. But I think the more important thing in terms of the help I could use is probably like I want to optimize it as I go. Yeah, because that's obviously the reason for doing this. So I'm putting like enemy movement in one external event. In terms of the towers, there are a lot of things that are tower related. So I guess what are your thoughts on... Yeah, I appreciate that. Trello is a good idea. What are your thoughts on like... when it comes to the external events? Like I could have like all this stuff that's for the towers in one external event called towers. So that would be, that could include like, you know, shooting bullets, targeting enemies, and or upgrades. Or I could do more subsections like tower upgrades, tower targeting, tower, you know, whatever. I know I'll need a background layer, so I could add that in here. And I'm going to need a UI layer. You would do per tower, and then have all upgrades in one place. Okay, so like, if I've got 8 towers, then I would have 8 external events. (32 by 32 by 8). Okay, well, as long as it's like manageable. Yeah, that doesn't sound too bad. That sounds pretty cool. Yeah, so Code, I could do sections. So like in here I would have, for example, well, in the old game, as you're aware, I would do repeat for each instance of towers, and then it was based on tower ID, which there were 8 different tower IDs. So, you know, I could do that. So it would be more like, you know, fire tower, etc. Something like that. And honestly, it's not going to be, I don't think it'll be terribly different in terms of the logical flow, but I think troubleshooting and debugging will be easier. Yeah, I'll have to feel it out, I suppose. But I think I can probably do all in one. At least, I don't think I need to do upgrades here, but I think at least for, you know, combat, I think building will probably be a separate one. I think things like placing towers and building towers will be separate, and upgrading towers will be separate. But in terms of like just a tower existing and dealing with enemies, I think that'll be all in one. I have another idea, and since y'all are on, I'll share it with you. The whole time, so the theme of the game is dark tower defense, and in the original game, whenever, you know, the whole concept is you're kind of spending your light, which is both your health and your currency, but there's also the visual effect of it gets darker the less light you have, which makes sense. What I did not like about that was if you run out of too much light, it gets really hard to see anything, which is just not fun. And it's really not even that important to become blinded in a game like this. It's not like a first-person shooter where you get flashbanged and you can't see. Like, the towers target enemies anyway. So it didn't really make a whole lot of sense for it to get super dark. But now I'm thinking, for this game, I want to implement a fog of war, which is a fog of darkness. And so, let me go out here to the level. Just illustrate it a little bit. So basically, let's say you start your level and you've got the end. So this blue thing is like your base that you're trying to not let enemies get to. And you can only build out, so there's a light radius. So let's say there's a light radius like this. And you can only build within the light radius. So this tower, you know, you're trying to build a tower, you can only place it in this range. And then from there, you get another light radius. And so on. And all the rest of it outside of that radius gets dimmer and then black. And if you destroy a tower, you lose the tower and that light radius. And so if you do, you know, if you leave a tower hanging, you might not even be able to place towers in between until you start rebuilding. So that's an idea I want to add that was not in the old game. Kind of like command, yeah, like that. Like, it's not a super unique idea, but I think it would fit pretty well with my theme. So they have access to the whole map, because I don't want to limit their strategy. But basically they'll need to start their way from wherever the end is. So they can build out, and there's honestly, they should have no problem really building out. And once they do, they can build anywhere they want. They can unlock the whole map as they go. They just won't necessarily have access to the other end of the map right away. And if they're a new player to the level, it would also introduce a bit of discoverability, because they won't see the whole level right up front either. Exactly. So those high priority corners and stuff, they'll basically have to kind of earn their way to, unless it's already within the, near the end. But there are different ways I can go about this. And so once I build in some of the Fog of War, I can play test it. But it doesn't necessarily have to start around the end. It could just be like a light beacon that I place somewhere on the level. So maybe it's not at the end. Maybe it's somewhere else. But yeah, that's a thought I had. Thanks for the tip, Blaze. And yeah, go study. We'll see you later, man. Have a good evening. So yeah, as far as the Fog of War, I know there were some different ways to build that out. And I could literally use a light radius. So, but first I want to get some of the basics going here. We're going to do... So this is actually going to be, we'll just call it basic tower. Enemy's distance to tower is below. So I think I'm going to need ranges for the towers, or at least ranges for their abilities. So basic tower, so let's do... You want to do a pixel art version of this game? Nice. You should. I'm also trying to decide, in terms of the logical design. Oh, you like those sprites? That one right there. Yeah, I did that one in Blender. I think you were on when I did that, weren't you, Travis? That was my blood tower. Yeah, fan-made game of it. Yeah, it's been a long time coming, but I'm ready to bring this to a wrap. No, you're right. I hadn't finished it. So I finally did finish it. So along this year-long path of learning GDevelop, I've been slowly learning Blender as well. So I'm wanting to put in all of my own art, besides whatever you guys provide, and get rid of junk I've pulled out of various art repos. So this is one of them. And the moon is one of them too, but that's just an actual photograph that was shrunk down. So yeah, in terms of the design, I think I might do global variables for things like various stats, so that when I do upgrade systems, like there will be upgrade systems, but I want to be able to reach those from various events. Can external events, I guess if external events are tied to a specific level, they have access to the scene variables, don't they? All scene objects and variables. Okay. But then they can only be linked to one scene. So if I've got like an upgrade scene with its own events. Wait, what am I thinking about? I was thinking of external layouts, I guess. Well, that should be fine. Never mind, we'll just do scene variables. Just need to pick a naming convention here, so we're going to do tower range basic, and I think I have that set to, we'll set it to 700 or so. And then we'll need tower basic shot speed. So really though, this will need to be used for a lot of towers, but I won't add those until I use them. Because I've made the mistake of adding in variables that I never end up using or forget about, and then it's hard to remember which ones need to be deleted later. So tower, we'll say shot speed. Shot speed basic. We'll also put that in at 700. Oh yeah, we need to do the thanks for calling that out. I have a dream. One of these days I will adhere to a strict naming convention for clarity. All right. Yeah. All right, in terms of systems then. 5 minutes ago, Travis said, I wish I could use downloadable assets for my game, but due to how you're doing things, you can't seem to find anything compatible. Yeah, that can be a struggle. Are you looking at, I assume you're looking at like a lot of the sites, like there's quite a lot out there, but it can be hard to find something that really works. I kind of ran into the same issue with this game. Do I still have a game document? Yeah, I have a game document. Towers and such. How do I do not strike through? There we go. Life, degen, beam. Okay, so it's been a while since I've revisited this. Well, I'm not doing the degen at the moment, although I could still do that. What I'm doing is, what is it? I was calling it like a... It's like a... like a blood seed. Yeah, that's true. And if you're an artist, you already have a leg up on most people, on most game developers, because you can actually make stuff. Yeah, for sure. I like to see art in places I go to, but then if I end up replacing a lot of that art, that can be annoying at the end. And then, of course, one thing I'm trying to avoid in this particular build is not doing the particle effects for the enemies. I just want them to be... I want all the activity to be based on the actual sprite, even if that sprite is hidden or something like that. And if it has a particle effect, that's just frosting on top. It has nothing to do with the health and all of that. Yeah, Emma's on our Discord. She did the music for our game jam. I'm not sure if she has free art. I'm not sure if she has free music available or not, but feel free to reach out to her. She's got her whole website set up and everything with a lot of samples. What is it? Emma Stewart. Is that it? Yeah, here it is. Works. Give it a listen. See if there's anything you like. Yeah, she's done a lot. So she's probably, if I had to speculate, she's probably wanting to just really spread. I think she's working on a film at the moment, but wanting to spread her portfolio. All right. So what we have here, we have health, pathfinding, Starting health is 10, so this is enemy basic medium. And it's going to need sticker behavior. It already has that. What else does it need? It's going to need... That might be it. Alright, so... Repeat for each instance of enemies. So we're going to do this as movement. Then we're going to do how do I want to do this? No, that's good. I have no problem paying artists for good work. No problem at all. Especially with the rise of AI junk. Like, AI is a great tool, but I think with the rise of zombie games that are, you know, predominantly AI, they don't really have a lot of genuine gameplay. You can tell that they're just asset flipped, no thought put into the gameplay whatsoever. People are gonna love handcrafted music, art, and code. Using sprites as enemies this time, yes. Putting all of the logic into the sprite object, not into the particle emitter. When I started the other game, I didn't realize there would be so many problems with particle emitters being the core logical piece. So repeat for each instance of enemies. What we'll do here is I think I'm going to have like what are my groups? Yeah, tower bullets. So I can do range to tower bullets, and they'll all have an ID. So here I'll just do range, or distance rather. That actually could be tough. Because I kind of need to know the bullet type for this to work. So I'll probably need to do more like number. Number of instances. So if that's greater than 0, oops. And then from there I can check the ID. Using a 3D pipeline for 2D animation and dead cells. Great looking pixel art without having to hand draw each and every retake. Wish this thing would get out of my way. Seemingly simple fundamental design decisions aren't really that simple at all. That's definitely the truth. So they were starting with the 3D model. Then exporting it. Little homebrew program. Exporting the sequence, the whole as a sequence of frames, allows us to slip in a blend mode or two for an added wow effect. Yeah, especially since game decisions are going to change along the way. I think there's a lot of wisdom there as far as an art CI/CD pipeline. Yeah, using AI to help with the code, I mean, that just makes sense. Like, there, in terms of tools that are available, like the age-old, you know, the boomer argument has always been kids these days and their tools, you know. When assembly was the language, something like C was considered something the kids these days were using. It was too high level, you know. And then C programmers would complain about these kids and their Python or JavaScript. Well, everyone complains about JavaScript, but you get the idea. And now it's AI, so vibe coding and whatnot. But if you're just using it as a tool to assist you with your very intentional design, go for it. All right, so I was doing tower bullets. We're going to do if the ID is equal to, we'll start with 0. So this would be, for example, basic. So this would be like tower, basic, and it only has one shot, I think, so. But theoretically, we're gonna have a lot of these. That's actually 1, set that to 0. And so from here, then I would say, if the range is, so this is already repeating for each instance of enemies. Then if there are tower bullets on the scene, if it's the basic bullet, then we'll check the distance. And here we'll call that variable. Then I think this needs to be a trigger once. This is probably where I need to double check how exactly I did it, but let's see here. But we need to do the health, so. I could probably stand to put a tower on the level. Don't think that's registering. Trigger once or delete the bullet as a first action. Oh yeah, delete the bullet. So what is that range? So I think that range was 700. It's actually a big range. Let's no, that's actually, I put the range into the wrong spot. That just needs to be like, let's just say 100 for testing purposes. Yeah, so that's not doing the health. They should only have 10 health. So let's see, distance. Oh, why did I say that? So this should be enemies. Distance to basic. Okay. I keep calling specific ones. Okay. Sometimes these need to be swapped, but I can never remember exactly when. Because we know this is coming through as true, so apply 5 points of damage. Oh, well, you know, I think I just didn't check to see if it's dead to delete it. So let's do that. Yeah, when the printing press was invented, they complained that real books were written by hand. Exactly. Like, the complaining never ends. But I think that we can probably agree, if I could read the room here, I think we all agree it's not about the tool, it's about the end product having personality. Or whatever. Trigger once or delete the bullet as first action. Normally when it's a for each object, you put an object first. And then the death check. But now I'm wondering, do I need... I guess we'll find out after I do this. Let's just do this real quick. So we'll say enemies, health. Or actually, you could probably... I think you can just do is dead. They're dying. If not dead, do damage. Yeah, I mean, we could add that as another check. Why not? Yeah, the people who use AI for the quick asset flip do deserve their scorn. And it's not even just in games, is it? It's like, it's the new hot topic. It's not really even that new anymore, but like literally every product out there has to plug AI into their sales pitch. And most of it's not even AI, but they plug it anyway. It's like, no thank you, I don't want my CPA using AI for my taxes. Or whatever. I already know I'm poor. Alright. Final Cats games. Are they? What are these? I don't even know. Is it good or bad that I don't know about these Find the Cats games? There's going to need to be some other condition here too, depending on the type of enemy. But I'm sure we can get to that bridge. We can cross that bridge when we get to it. Find cats. These? What the heck? Yeah, I could see how that would be AI-able. Square Enix is porting Final Fantasy Tactics in a remastered version. Nice. Hell yeah. That'd be funny, playing one of these with the AI errors. I mean, I could see how there would be profit margin pumping out games like this, but if they're putting them out there without QA, You know, that's a problem. Yeah, yeah, exactly. Oh, also this version of the game I'm doing 1920 1080 by 1920 by 1080, whatever, instead of 720. So I'm actually curious now if I add the background sprites. See if I can find that. I think it is. I have several. Yeah, that one's the right dimension. Let's try that one. And then so we could probably do like level setup. So at the beginning of the scene, we're going to add a background sprite at 0, 0. Let's put that on the background layer. Then of course, let's see, that'll need to be a sub event though, because I'll need to add some conditions later depending on the level number. So let me add a little background. Okay, so let's see if that loads up. That I need to call it though. Let's call it. Boom. I'm not keeping this particular sprite. I just wanted something to look at. Yeah, have a good night, Travis. Thanks for hopping on. Nice to chat again. Can you check that jam and see if it has started? Yes, I can. I think I still have it open. 40 minutes. And 30 seconds. For 8 minutes. Yeah, not too long. So, you have any thoughts on what you want to do with the theme? Now, if I recall, I think the mini jams have a theme and then they have a limitation. Like a different thing that they'll announce. Let me double check here in the Discord, but like the theme might be evolution and then I think they'll have a limitation like 2-button controls or something like that. Where do they have that? I don't know. Oh, do they have it on the page? Oh, this is it too, yeah, the limitation. So that's the thing that'll be announced at the start, I think. So, but, you know, I guess you kind of have to wait for that to be announced to really pick your game. But did you have any game, like, genres in mind for it? This is actually not quite filling the screen. At least not my screen. Maybe it's because my screen's too wide. Oh, gotcha. Did you vote for one? See, what would I vote on if I was doing this jam? Mice? Mice only, nice. Locked door. So it was evolution. Oh, you didn't vote? Only bosses. Infinite levels. I mean, indirect control. That could be tricky. Honestly, my opinion of the limitations is I don't care. Because I tend to do well in a creative box. So it's like, just give me the box, and then I'll make a creative decision. So I really wouldn't care too much myself. Mice only. That could be taken several ways. Two colors. Hopefully it's not two colors like that one game that we played on the Game Jam, where it was like red and blue flashing. In infinite levels, yeah. It'll be interesting. Alright, let's see. What else do we want here? Again, I'm not trying to put in all the content at the moment. I'm trying to build the structure out. So we need some UI. So button, next wave, and then let's create a group for buttons. You and that dev chatting about that a while. Oh yeah, about the seizures that they're inducing. Get the core loop going, then add the rest. Yeah, exactly. Let's see here. What did I... Oh, I was just looking for the text. So this will be next wave. I'm feeling pretty good tonight, but I'm still a little bit out of it. Work's just been a little chaotic. So I've been looking forward to hopping on the stream. So next wave, also known as Wave. Actually, what I want to do is probably just build this out. I could do an external layout, but I could also just as easily put this into the level setup and just build the button there. I don't know. What's your opinion on this? For like setting up the UI, I could do a layout, but I could also just do the external events and call the stuff. Is there really a fundamental difference? So for example, UI. So I would create at position, whatever, whatever. So we'll say (1920) minus button dot. Actually, what is it? Dot width. And then minus like a margin of 50 or something. Actually, this would be scene window width. Y position. Actually, this would be closer to 0. If I went it on the top right. So this would be plus 50, something like that. And this would be on the UI layer. Okay, it went off screen. Let's try layout then. Yeah, and then I guess I could just drag and drop, huh? So if I do that, then I could avoid doing this. Let's go back to the level. Yeah, no, that makes sense. Oh, why is that on the... Oh, there we go. Okay, so that's that, and then, yeah, now we can start adding more into this. Okay, let's duplicate. Pause. So probably should put in the game the time scale as well. Yeah, remember to load it on the UI layer. Yeah, I was having that problem a second ago. There's a guy on. He was on a Discord and somewhere on X. At some point, I want to reach out to him because he offered to do a free analysis of the UX for indie games, and I'd like to get his thoughts on mine once I have one. Let's see now. So if I load the external event itself, it works. I see it. But then if I load the level, it's not pulling in the external layout, even though I linked it. So what was the part? What am I missing there? Do I need to call it from here? Yeah, having two kids to playtest is pretty helpful. Gdevelop. Oh, load layout. That's what it is. That sounds right. I've done it before. Why am I not remembering? Load. Oh, geez. Let me go back to Google. Amateur hour for me. Yep. Load it into a scene during the game. During the game, you can load a layout into a scene using the create objects from an external layout action. Oh, it's an action. I was using a condition. You were right. I was just doing it under conditions. All right. Exposition. I think you just set this to 0, 0, right? Oh, and that should also only be... I think only at the beginning. That seems functional. All right, slightly less spaghetti so far. Let's do pause, the ability to pause. As a Boolean. Then Thanks for the hearts. Appreciate the support. Hope everyone's having a good night tonight. Change variable value. I guess we'll toggle it. And then we'll say if pause is true, and if timescale is equal to 1, set it to 0, and then I guess we'll do like a vice versa here. So I might need to do a check for the time scale. Is that how you usually do pause? You do an overall check for the time scale. It's a good question. I mean, probably don't need to pause the UI, which would be on the UI layer. So can you change the timescale of a specific layer then? Oh, you're right. Layer timescale. So let's try the base layer then. So that should cover everything from these external events too then, right? Because if it's the whole base layer. Okay, I'm just not unpausing it. Oh, I know exactly why. So if paused is true, do that. If paused is false, true, false, 1 to 0, 0 to 1. If pause is true, we want the timescale to become 0, right? If it's not paused, we want the timescale to be 1. But you're saying it's the other way? Well, I did something wrong. So, whether or not your eyes are blind. The pause is working. Why is the unpause not working? Hmm. So it is on the UI layer, so it should still work. Yeah, that's definitely more efficient. I still have my unpause issue, but that's helpful. I don't think that I need this, but let's see. No, in fact, that makes it broken. What in the world? How long have I been using GDevelop and having trouble with pause? No bueno. Same issue. Button pause is clicked. Toggle. So, I mean, I could try not using the toggle. Maybe that's acting goofy. Hey, Emma, welcome to the stream. We were actually talking about your music earlier. How's the film project going? So button pause. So let's just try a variable swap, I suppose. If paused is false. Pause, and we'll set that to true. And then vice versa. And set that to false. It's just a manual version of a toggle. I have different timescales. Oh. You're absolutely right. See, you're not blind. I'm blind. Okay, well, we might not need these then. Let's go back to the toggle. Then we're not going to do the scene, we're going to do the layer. Timescale of the scene. Get rid of that. There we go. That's gotta fix it. Oh my gosh, you're a genius. Boom. We have pause. It's very advanced. No one's ever seen this before. All right. Yeah, thanks for calling that out. I've never done pause on a layer before. That's actually way more nifty than pausing the whole scene. Alright, what system? I could do calling enemies, because in order to do any playtesting, I need to be able to summon them. So, and I also need to be able to build towers. That's actually great, yeah. Satellite 12. All right, I think I want to do the next wave, and I want to do towers. The next wave is going to have more to it. Let's go ahead and do the tower thing. So I'll need basically another button. Obviously, these buttons are placeholder, but you know, absolute placeholder. So, where does the pause button go? Up top or down low? What I really want is like a way to hide the UI, to toggle a lot of these UI elements, but let's at least align them while we're doing this. Is pause normally up top? Probably, I don't know. All right, let's add these to the buttons group. In case I need that later. Then build tower for the level. Honestly, I don't know. Like, literally everything could go into external events. So I'll have to pick something to go into the main level, right? Is it okay to put building towers in the main level? Like for button clicks? I mean, I suppose I could do checks. I could do the conditions for the button clicks, and then under each one do a I could summon an external event from there. I don't know. Don't know what the best way is. Maybe it's cleaner to do that. So put the condition here, do the event separate. So if button build tower is clicked, link external events. So let's see, we're probably going to have a Boolean. You normally put stuff like timers, buttons, and checks. Yeah, that makes sense. Because those things are all pretty level specific. Apart from the last minute dumb stuff at the bottom. Yeah, no, I think I remember looking at it that way. But I haven't looked at your new code. I've only looked at the original game. I know you said you optimized it. I'm going to need a scene variable. This will be tower building active. So I think this will be, I think we start with a toggle. And then I think I want to, for example, take this tower object, duplicate it out, and we'll just call it tower build indicator. And this will not need all these behaviors. But I can probably do an effect, like an outline. We'll call it outline. The new code is very similar on main events, just upgrade events are way better optimized. Nice. And then from here we'll say actually let me think. Because if this is yeah, I can't wait for them to announce the winners. Even if we don't win, I'm really excited to see what they come up with. But I know it takes some time because they need to put the whole video together and everything. But let's see, if I call this only on the button click, but there will still be some things I need in general, like variable value tower building is active. So if this is true, then I think what I do is Oops. I don't know. Maybe I don't need that. Yeah, probably Sunday. The 3D spell game will win. I have some thoughts on that one, and I gave it pretty high praise in my review. I think that its qualities are probably more obvious than its room for improvement. So, you know, major kudos to the developers on that one, especially in the time that we had. I think that what they did really well, the fact that they did 3D and G-Develop, which is a feat of its own. They also did really well for the graphics because they're simple, but they're clean, and that counts for a lot. And the color scheme I thought was really well done as well. The colors don't clash. So that's 3 things. The 4th thing they did really well, in my opinion, was the quote-unquote tutorial, kind of ramping you up to figure out how to play the game. It doesn't feel like a tutorial, but it is one, and they did that organically, and that counts for a lot. Yeah, so the shortcomings, in my opinion, are the controls, and it did feel like a one-trick game, which is actually common for Game Jam games. So they had the different elements, and that kind of added some depth to the attacks. And thank you for the hearts. But besides the different elements, it was really just one attack. I mean, I guess it was 2. You had the flame, like the beam or the orb. So I guess you have 2 attacks. But the game didn't really have depth beyond that, did it? And I wouldn't expect a Game Jam game to be able to have a whole lot of RPG depth. They just really had the mechanics. So where I see the shortcoming is if they had more gameplay available, it would have started to feel shallow until they could add more in there. Yeah, power up and blast, whether or not you picked the orb or the beam. So the gameplay itself, which is unfortunately a huge part of game fun, was shallow. They just needed more time to add into it. So that's the shortcoming. I don't think that it's a minor shortcoming, but it's obviously fixable. But in terms of what they submitted to the jam, it was not my favorite for that reason alone. But it was a very well polished game, very highly polished, very, very well rounded. And even adding in the terrain destruction was above and beyond for sure. So I don't know, it might win. 10th on your top 10. That'd be pretty fair. Again, the core game loop not talking about looks, not talking about the theme, just the core game loop. In spite of all that, needed a little bit more, I think. Okay, so let's see if we toggle the variable and how am I doing this? So if I want to check what was my favorite. That's a good question. Appreciate all the hearts. Thank you, thank you. What was my favorite? Let me take a quick look here. Honestly, it might have been the Hex Tile Oni powered game. That one was a lot of fun. They even put in the time to give you a color variation. Which obviously you know because you're rebuilding a similar game. So yeah, this one felt, again, getting back to that core loop. Is this one as pretty as the 3D game? Maybe, maybe not. It's its own style, but it's more basic. But I think that the core loop is deeper. And they do build in a tutorial that works pretty well. Tutorials are often overlooked in jams. Yeah, it is pretty crazy. Even the sounds are pretty solid. Like the shuriken, whatever, the throwing star, it's really crisp. Restore to full health. So they've got this upgrade system. I like it a lot. And to be fair, I haven't played as many games as you did. So let's turn the question around. What was your favorite? That one's your favorite. I would vote for that one. And to be honest, I could probably play it for longer than I would play our game, if I'm going to be completely transparent. But, I mean, our game is it's almost more of a rage game, isn't it? So ours isn't really designed to go long. It's just designed to be replayed until you do better and better. So, you know, it's not really an insult to say I would play that one for longer. It has longer game sessions. Angry Maid. Yeah, that was pretty fun. All right, what was I checking here? I was checking for building. And honestly, I'm not going to last too much longer on stream. My sanity is slipping. The variable... So if you hit the button, you're toggling it. And then... So if your building is true, then we'll do a sub event here. Creating the indicator. Oh, the cube one. Yeah, I wasn't terribly impressed with it. It's probably still at the top. If we go to the... Is it most rated? What was it called? Oh, Cube Gunner. Yeah. Well, that's the problem with platformers. As you're aware, platformers are like, if you don't have the feel, it's gonna be unfun. It feels a little laggy. I don't know if it's the camera movement or maybe there's like too much acceleration. Like it could be too much. But I think there's lag as well, and that doesn't help. You got infinite upgrades. Nice. Let me check the radar here. We have some weather here in Oklahoma. Okay, we're good for the moment. All right, I'm just going to finish out this building indicator, and then I think I'm going to bounce for the evening, but let me see if I got this. So that worked. What I need to do is now in the main level, let's see, do I want to do that here? I could also do it in the UI. No, that's a layout. Never mind. So what do we have here? Oh, it'll be pretty small. We can just do it in the level. So we'll say indicator. RGB. Wait, no, it wants a hex value here, doesn't it? Let's grab that hex value real quick. What the heck does it want here? Because it doesn't want RGB. Color. Now we're trying to remember. So that's a string. So 255. It likes 255 all by itself. What the heck? You said one game you played was simple bug splatting, but the cursor was off center and had no full screen. Oh, well, that sounds annoying. Use the string, not number. So there's RGB as text. It does not like that. If I do RGB, it thinks I'm adding multiple numbers. If I add the hex value, it thinks it's more than just a number. What the heck? I've done this before. From the middle selection. Use the string, not number, from the middle selection. I'm not sure if I'm following what you're saying. Outline, color, new value. Oh. That is brilliant. So we'll see if this works. And then we'll try... Let's pick a green. What is the hex for... Something like this. So that'd be... Okay, so at the moment this would call every frame, but let's see if it works at all. Oh, I also need to... set the position. So we're going to set that to... cursor X. Cursor Y for the moment. Okay. Oh yeah, it's actually working. That crazy moment where something actually kind of works. And it went away. Fancy that. All right. Not too bad. Now for this change position, I'm wondering if adding this condition, or if adding this extension for this cursor is moving condition, I'm wondering if adding that in will be worth it compared to changing the position every single frame no matter what. And I'm not sure from an overhead perspective if it's worth it or not. Because I'll have other things that I could use this on too, like using a custom mouse cursor. I think I'll try it. Is it mouse or cursor? Yeah. Yeah, because you can't stick it to the cursor itself, can you? So if the cursor is moving, change the position. Also, let's change it to cursor X. We'll say plus, I don't know. Plus what? Or minus width. So it still seems to work. Feels smooth compared to my old game. I mean, obviously I don't have all this stuff in here, but it feels so smooth. It's maybe a little too far out. Let's do minus... plus 10 or something. Obviously, we'll just tweak that. But they should all be the same size regardless of the tower. Cool. Save. All right. If you put origin to center, it'll be centered on the mouse. And I kind of... Oh, yeah, let me think. Because I did that for the tower itself. Because of the tower... no, I didn't. Why did I not do that? Oh well, but I can definitely try that here. What is the size of this thing? I thought this was a square. Oh, it's not truly a square. 122 by 104. 122. Okay, yeah, so that would be 6152. Apply. And then here we could try... Yeah, so now it's, yeah, that probably makes more sense visually. Cool. All right, not bad progress. So building the game up from scratch, building it clean as we can. It'll get messy, don't worry. But at least this time it'll be a new mess. All right, we're gonna land this plane. So looking forward to the GDevelop Game Jam 7 results maybe this weekend. And we'll see if Code and Blaze do the mini game jam. So thanks everyone for watching. Hope you all have a great evening or morning if you're George having his Friday already. So yeah, y'all have a great night, and whatever it is you're working on, I definitely hope you have fewer bugs than I do. So thanks for watching. Catch you next time.